Have you ever wondered if the candy you hand out on Halloween could be the last treat a child ever receives, poisoned by a father's twisted greed for insurance money? What if the man smiling behind the mask of a friendly neighbor was plotting to kill his own son and others just to cash in on death? Tonight, we're diving into one of the most chilling, true Halloween horrors from 1974, The Candyman Killer. A story that will make you question every stranger's door you knock on. Imagine it's October 31st in the quiet suburb of Pasadena, Texas. The air crisp with autumn chill, leaves crunching underfoot as families prepare for a night of innocent fun. Jack-o'-lanterns flickering on porches like watchful eyes. Children in homemade costumes buzzing with excitement for chocolate bars and gummy worms. The scent of caramel apples wafting from neighborhood kitchens. But beneath that festive glow lurks a darkness so profound, it shatters the holiday's joy forever. Ronald O'Brien, a 30-year-old optician with a wife and 4 kids, seems like the picture of suburban normalcy, his home decked out with paper bats and cotton spiderwebs. His 8-year-old son Timothy dressed as a caped superhero, complete with a plastic mask that itches against his cheeks. His daughters dressed as witches with pointed hats and striped stockings. The family ready to join the throng of trick-or-treaters parading down Deerwood Street, where porch lights beam like beacons calling kids to sweets. O'Brien, though, carries a secret heavier than any pillowcase full of loot. Debts piling up from bad investments and a taste for luxuries he can't afford. His mind twisted by desperation into a plan so monstrous it defies comprehension. A scheme born not from rage, but cold calculation. Insurance policies taken out on his children months earlier. Policies that promise payouts in the event of tragedy. His thoughts turning to the ultimate betrayal as Halloween approaches. A night when poisoned treats could blend seamlessly into the chaos of candy swaps and forgotten wrappers. As dusk falls on that fateful evening, the O'Brien family steps out, Timothy clutching his treat bag with a Superman emblem, his sisters giggling about who will get the most full-size bars, neighbors waving from driveways adorned with glowing skeletons and plastic ghosts swaying in the breeze. The street alive with the chatter of costumed kids, pirates and princesses darting from house to house, parents trailing behind with flashlights cutting through the gathering twilight, O'Brien walking among them, his face a mask of paternal pride. But inside, his heart pounds with the weight of his impending crime. A giant Pixie Stix tube hidden in his pocket, its powdered sugar core laced with a lethal dose of cyanide crystals, enough to kill multiple children if distributed right. His plan meticulous, targeting not just his son but strangers to throw off suspicion, to make it look like a random act of malice from some deranged trick-or-treater. They reach the home of Yates and Candy Hall, family friends hosting a small gathering. The porch, strung with orange lights and a bowl of mini candies spilling over, inside the warm hum of laughter and the clink of beer bottles. O'Brien slipping away for a moment while the kids rummage through treats, his hands steady as he opens the Pixie Stix, the crinkle of plastic drowned out by distant shouts of trick-or-treat, pouring the poison in under the dim glow of a street lamp, sealing it back with tape that matches the factory kind. His breath shallow sweat beading on his forehead, despite the cool night air, then rejoining the group as if nothing happened, handing the tainted stick to Timothy with a smile urging him to save it for later. The boy's eyes lighting up at the oversized candy, oblivious to the death grip it holds. The night unfolds like any other bags bulging with Snickers and Tootsie Rolls, the moon rising high, casting eerie shadows from crooked tree branches like skeletal fingers, reaching for the stars. Families retreating indoors to sort halls on living room floors, wrappers rustling like whispers of secrets, yet to unfold Timothy, begging to taste his Pixie Stix. But O'Brien insisting on bedtime, first tucking him in with promises of morning sweetness, his own sleep fitful haunted by flashes of what he's done. The cyanide's bitter scent lingering in his nostrils like a ghost of guilt he can't shake. Dawn breaks on November 1st, 1974. The holiday's magic soured by routine, school buses rumbling down streets littered with candy wrappers and crushed pumpkins. But at the O'Brien home, panic erupts as Timothy complains of nausea. his small body convulsing on the kitchen floor, foam flecking his lips, his mother screaming for help as O'Brien dials 911, his voice cracking with feigned horror, paramedics rushing in, sirens wailing like banshees through the neighborhood. But it's too late. The 8-year-old boy pronounced dead at the hospital. His superhero costume folded neatly in a plastic bag as evidence, the autopsy revealing the cyanide, a poison so potent it seizes the body in minutes, turning a child's laughter into labored gasps, the medical examiner's report painting a picture of agony, stomach contents analyzed to trace the pixie sticks back to that innocent-looking tube. Shock ripples through Pasadena, parents dumping candy into trash bins in a frenzy, police swarming schools and doorsteps, detectives interviewing families who trick-or-treated that night, O'Brien's neighbors recalling his cheerful demeanor, the way he handed out treats with a grin, but whispers start as other pixie sticks surface, 2 more given to the hall children who wisely didn't eat them, and 1 to a stranger's kid down the block, all laced with the same deadly mix. The investigation zeroing in on O'Brien when his financial woes come to light, insurance claims filed suspiciously quick, his alibi crumbling under scrutiny. The man who poisoned Halloween exposed as the monster behind the mask, his trial in 1975, a media circus prosecutors detailing how he bought the cyanide under false pretenses from a chemical supply store, claiming it for pest control, his defense crumbling as witnesses testified to his desperation. The jury deliberating just 70 minutes before convicting him of capital murder, the courtroom gasping as the death sentence is read. O'Brien maintaining innocence to the end, executed by lethal injection on March 31, 1984. His last words, a plea for forgiveness that rings hollow against the graves of the boy he killed. But the horror doesn't end with justice, for in the years since, residents of Deerwood Street swear they've seen flickers of a small figure in a cape darting between houses on Halloween Eve, a spectral child forever trick-or-treating, his bag empty, his eyes hollow with unspoken accusations. Some claim to hear faint rustles of plastic wrappers in the wind, or glimpse a man in the shadows handing out invisible treats, a reminder that on this night, the veil between joy and terror is paper-thin, 1 poisoned candy away from nightmare. You, listener, think back to your own childhood halls, the way you'd trade away the off-brand bars for Hershey's, never questioning the source, and now a chill creeps in, making you double-check that bowl of untouched mini Snickers by your door, wondering if greed's ghost still walks among us, waiting for the next full moon to rise over jack-o'-lantern grins. If this tale of betrayal and loss has gripped your soul, proving that real evil wears the face of familiarity, then hit that subscribe button now. It's free, and no excuse not to join the ranks of those who chase the shadows of truth, because ignoring these warnings means letting the darkness feast unchecked. How many of us will stand against the night, demanding answers from the grave? And as we peel back more layers of this poisoned legacy, consider the ripple effects. How one man's avarice tainted an entire holiday for a generation. Parents in Texas still eyeing every treat with suspicion. Community potlucks replaced by sealed packages. The trust of neighborhood bonds frayed like old cobwebs. O'Brien's wife left to raise 3 children in the glare of infamy, whispers following them to new towns. The daughters growing up with the weight of their brother's absence. Birthdays marked not by cake, but by quiet memorials, the media dubbing it the Candyman case, inspiring copycats and urban legends that spread like the poison itself. From playground chants warning of blue-dyed sweets, to school assemblies on stranger danger, each retelling amplifying the dread, embedding it in the cultural psyche, a cautionary fable wrapped in festive foil. Delve deeper, and you'll find the forensic details that still haunt criminologists, the cyanide's solubility in the sugary powder, how it evaded detection until too late, the way Timothy's tiny veins burned from the inside, his last hours a blur of vomiting and seizures witnessed by a frantic family. O'Brien's feigned grief masking calculations of payout, over $40,000 in insurance money he never collected due to the swift arrest. His appeals dragging through courts clogged with death row delays. Letters from prison where he professed love for his lost son, words that ring false against the evidence. Photos from the scene showing the untouched pixie sticks on the kitchen counter, its colorful packaging mocking the tragedy. Neighbors recalling O'Brien's odd eagerness to distribute those specific treats, his insistence that Timothy wait, buying time for the plot to unfold. In the broader tapestry of Halloween lore, this stands as a stark outlier, not supernatural, but human horror, amplified by the season's innocence. A reminder that the scariest monsters don't lurk in fog-shrouded graveyards, but in the hearts of those we trust most. Fathers who should protect now, praying the holidays' commercialization of veil for such vulnerabilities. Candy giants ramping up safety protocols post-1974. Blue dyes, scrutinized wrappers tamper-proofed, yet the fear lingers. A psychic scar on All Hallows' Eve, passed down like folklore around campfires where kids huddle. Sharing not just sweets but shudders, the story evolving into warnings of the man with the poisoned stick, his face morphing in retellings from O'Brien to a generic ghoul, ensuring the lesson endures, vigilance over indulgence, love over lucre. Years on, Pasadena holds subdued block parties, fewer elaborate displays, the street where it happened now lined with modest homes that light few pumpkins, residents averting eyes from the O'Brien address, now occupied by wary families who joke about ghost hunts, but lock doors tighter on October 31st. One former resident claiming to feel a child's hand tug at her coat during a late-night walk. Turning to find empty air, a breeze carrying the faint chemical tang of almonds, cyanide's telltale scent, dismissed as imagination but etched in memory. Fueling annual vigils for Timothy, balloons released at dusk, prayers for souls twisted by greed, the community reclaiming the night through remembrance, turning terror into testament, proving that while evil may strike, resilience rises. A collective defiance against the dark, but oh, the what-ifs that whisper in quiet moments. What if Timothy had eaten it sooner, under watchful eyes at the party? Or what if another child had unwrapped it first? The hall's kids saved by parental caution, their refusal to indulge until mourning a stroke of fate. Now adults sharing their own tales of dodged doom, gratitude laced with grief for the boy who didn't make it. His superhero cape preserved in a museum of true crime, a relic of lost potential, 8 years old, dreams of flying cut short by paternal poison. Expand this horror to the psychological toll, O'Brien's daughters grappling with betrayal's legacy, therapy sessions unpacking the duality of a father as provider and predator, support groups for survivors of familial filicide attempts, where stories intersect like veins of shared suffering, experts analyzing the pathology, how financial stress warps the paternal bond into something unrecognizable, studies citing the case as exemplar of holiday homicide spikes, when merriment masks malice, statistics showing an uptick in domestic violence reports around Halloween, stress of festivities igniting fuses long lit, O'Brien's execution a closure denied to many, his final breaths in Huntsville's death chamber, witnessed by prosecutors who slept uneasily for years. The needles plunge a poor echo of the candy's descent into Timothy's stomach. Justice served cold like the autumn air that night, but scars eternal, etched in headlines that screamed from newsstands the morning after. Yellowed clippings now collector's items for dark tourism enthusiasts who pilgrimage to Pasadena for tours of the tainted trail, guides recounting the route with grave solemnity, pointing out the whole home's faded decorations, the spot where paramedics loaded the small body, the tree under which O'Brien paced in feigned worry, each landmark a station of sorrow, educating on empathy's erosion, how one man's ledger of debts outweighed a son's life, a caution to modern parents buried in student loans and mortgage mills, whispering that the true poison is unchecked ambition, more lethal than any chemical. And in this reflection, we circle back to you, dear audience, as the clock strikes midnight on another Halloween, bags of candy secured, doors bolted, but doubts dancing in the dim light. Is the rustle outside wind or warning? The figure in the window reflection or regret? The holiday's heart both bountiful and brittle, demanding we guard it fiercely, lest greed's ghost claim another innocent soul, forever altering the flavor of fall's sweetest night. What if the Headless Horseman wasn't just a legend from Sleepy Hollow, but a real phantom rider galloping through modern streets on Halloween, severing heads with a spectral axe under the cover of night. Could a simple hayride stunt go fatally wrong, leaving a young man's noose as the grim centerpiece of a holiday attraction? Prepare to be chilled to the bone with the true tale from 1990 in Chicago, where a Halloween prank became a permanent nightmare, proving that some scares are too real to survive. Picture the crisp October evening in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, leaves swirling in eddies like crimson confetti across parking lots, strung with cobwebs and cardboard tombstones. The air humming with the squeals of thrill-seekers lining up for Luminaries Park annual Halloween hayride, a beloved tradition since the 1970s, where families bundle into trailers towed by rumbling tractors through fields dotted with fog machines puffing ethereal clouds, actors in tattered rags leaping from hay bales with plastic chainsaws buzzing harmlessly, fake blood dripping from animatronic zombies that groan through hidden speakers, the scent of diesel mixing with caramel corn from nearby stands, laughter echoing as groups of teens dare each other to scream loudest at the clown popping from a cornstalk maze. The park's centerpiece, a mock graveyard where tombstones glow with phosphorescent paint, spelling out punny epitaphs like, "Here lies the joke, rust in peace," all under strings of orange bulbs, swaying like fireflies in the wind, creating an illusion of warmth against the encroaching chill. But for 16-year-old Brian Jewell, this night marks not festivity, but finality. A part-time job as a seasonal scare actor paying minimum wage to fund his dreams of college. His lanky frame clad in threadbare overalls stained with stage blood from previous shifts. His face painted ghastly white with black circles under his eyes. A noose looped loosely around his neck for the gallows scene. A prop rope that dangles him from a wooden scaffold just off the hayride path. His feet meant to brush the ground as the trailer passes, allowing him to rasp out a scripted line. "Hey folks, looks like I'm all tied up tonight," before dropping the act with a cackle. A routine he's nailed a dozen times that day, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows from skeletal trees that claw at the sky. Co-workers slapping his back with encouragement as the final groups board. The tractor's engine coughing to life like a beast awakening, Brian climbing the scaffold with the ease of repetition, adjusting the noose so it sits comfortable on his collarbone. Not tight, the knot positioned to slip free if needed, his heart thrumming with adolescent adrenaline. The first hints of fatigue from a 10-hour shift tugging at his eyelids. But the promise of tips from frightened riders keeping him sharp. The hayride lurching forward into the twilight, bales creaking under passengers bundled in hoodies and scarves. Whispers of who will jump next. Building tension, the path winding through pumpkin patches where carved faces leer with jagged grins. The tractor driver Jim Harlan at the wheel, a grizzled veteran of 15 seasons, his eyes scanning the route for cues, the air thick with anticipation as the trailer nears the gallows, spotlights flickering on to bathe the scene in lurid red. Brian inhaling deep, ready to drop into character, his feet planted firm on the earth below the platform, the noose a mere accessory like his fake axe propped nearby. As the hayride rumbles closer, riders clutching popcorn and sodas, their faces illuminated by phone screens sharing selfies, a mix of locals and out-of-towners drawn by the park's reputation for tame terrors, suitable for dates and family outings. The tractor slows to the scripted crawl, allowing the full effect. Harlan glancing over expecting Jewell's theatrical drop, the rope to swing loose as the boy feigns a kick. But seconds stretch into silence. Jewell's form still, too still, his head lolled at an unnatural angle, the noose biting into flesh where it should have slipped, riders murmuring confusion turning to gasps as the trailer grinds to a halt. Harlan killing the engine with a curse, leaping down to the scaffold, his boots thudding on packed dirt. Hands fumbling for a flashlight as dusk deepens tonight. The beam catching Jewell's pale face, eyes wide in frozen surprise, lips parted as if mid-line. No breath fogging the cold air, the crowd's chatter dying to horrified whispers. Someone screaming call 911 as Harlan cuts the rope with a pocket knife. Jewell's body slumping limp into his arms. 180 pounds of dead weight that crumples them both to the ground. Paramedics arriving in a wail of sirens that pierces the festive din. Park lights buzzing like angry hornets overhead. the medical team working furiously with chest compressions and defibrillator shocks that arc blue in the gloom. But the boy's pulse is gone. Asphyxiation claiming him in under a minute. The noose is not inexplicably tight, perhaps shifted by a gust or his own adjustment. The autopsy later confirming accidental hanging. No foul play, but a tragic confluence of fatigue and fate. The park shutting down in chaos. Refunds issued amid sobs. News crews swarming the gates by morning. Headlines blaring Halloween hayride horror teen actor strangles in stunt gone wrong. The community reeling from the loss of a bright kid known for his quick wit and dreams of theater. His family shattered, mother clutching his uneaten candy bar from lunch. Father staring numb at the scaffold now cordoned with yellow tape fluttering like mocking ribbons. The aftermath unfolds in layers of grief and scrutiny. Luminaries Park facing lawsuits from Jules' estate. Safety protocols overhauled with redundant checks on props and rigging. The gallows scene scrapped forever. Replaced by less lethal illusions like holographic phantoms. But whispers persist among returning visitors of a shadowy figure dangling from ropes in the fog. A vengeful spirit, ensuring no one laughs at death again. Locals avoiding the path on All Hallows' Eve, claiming chills unrelated to the weather. The wind carrying faint rasps like unfinished lines, echoes of a boy who gave his all for a scare. His yearbook photo haunting editorials calling for better oversight in seasonal attractions. Where the line between thrill and tragedy blurs under holiday haste, investigations revealing understaffed shifts and rushed training, Jules' youth masking his inexperience with the noose's peril, a lesson etched in memorials. A plaque now at the park's entrance reading in memory of Brian Jewell, 1974-1990, May Your Light Shine On. Donations funding scholarships for aspiring performers, turning sorrow into spotlight. Yet the night of October 31st, 1990, lingers as a cautionary specter, a reminder that Halloween's allure lies in controlled fear. Not the uncontrolled finality that claimed a teen's tomorrow. Families now double-checking costumes for loose strings, hayrides opting for benign bumps over hanging horrors. The story retold in safety seminars and campfire warnings where parents hush kids with tales of the boy who hung too true. His ghost said to applaud genuine frights from afar, approving only those that honor his sacrifice without courting death's embrace. Peeling back further, consider the human elements that amplified this accident into legend. Harlan the driver tormented by what-ifs, quitting the park after one more season plagued by nightmares of swinging shadows. His wife noting how he'd flinch at creaking doors, the riders from that trailer forming a support group, bonding over shared trauma, annual reunions on the date to toast Jules' memory with root beer floats, the kid's favorite, sharing laughs about his pranks before the fall. While detractors online debate if negligence bordered on manslaughter, forums buzzing with grainy photos of the scaffold, conspiracy threads claiming sabotage by rival actors jealous of Jules' charisma, though evidence points to simple sorrowful chance, the medical report detailing petechia in his eyes from the brief strangulation, a burst of capillaries like crimson stars in a lifeless sky. His parents' lawsuit settling out of court for an undisclosed sum that funds community theater, ensuring Brian's passion endures, plays staged in his name with programs noting the date he departed, audiences holding breath during tense scenes, half expecting a spectral cue. The park evolving into a safer haven, adding disclaimers and waivers thick as grimoires. Yet on quiet October nights, staff swear to hearing footsteps on the old path, soft as hay crunching under invisible boots. A presence that quickens pulses, but harms none. Perhaps Jules' way of keeping watch, guiding the scares toward joy rather than jeopardy. A guardian of ghoulish glee. His story a thread in the tapestry of Halloween's dual nature, where delight dances with danger, demanding respect for the thin veil that separates scream from silence, fun from forever gone. And you huddled in your listening space, feel the draft from an unseen window question, if that creak was the house settling, or a rope's sway. The tale urging vigilance in your own celebrations, checking harnesses on homemade haunts, ensuring every prop promises play, not peril. Because in the grand carnival of frights, one loose knot can unravel lives, leaving echoes that ride the wind long after the lights dim. A boy's laughter lost to legend, but his warning woven into the night's fabric eternal as the harvest moon. If this harrowing hayride has you gripping your seat, heart racing with the tractor's rumble, then click subscribe right now, it's free. And you've got no excuse to miss the next ride through terror's trails, because stepping away means surrendering to the shadows alone. How many will join the convoy, headlights high against the unknown? Is it possible that a loving soccer mom's kind offer of a ride home on a deserted highway could unravel into a nightmarish kidnapping by a self-proclaimed demon hunter gun to your head, forcing you into a ritual of prayer and peril? What happens when Halloween costumes hide not just identities but the descent into madness, where a stranger's salvation turns to damnation in a remote barn? Brace yourself for this true account from Shallow Water, Texas, in the fall of 2005. A Halloween party gone from flirtation to flight, to a fate worse than fiction, where trust becomes the ultimate trick. Envision the balmy October night in the flatlands of northwest Texas, stars pricking the vast sky like diamond pins on black velvet. The distant hum of crickets underscoring the bass thump from a country club bash air thick with the smoke of bonfires and the sweet tang of spilled punch laced with cheap vodka. Rita's laughter cutting through the crowd as she twirls in a witch's hat adorned with faux stars. Her black dress, hugging curves honed by yoga classes and farm chores, the room pulsing with costumed revelers, vampires nipping at necks with plastic fangs, ghosts in bedsheets floating through fog machines, the scent of pumpkin spice mingling with sweat and perfume, fairy lights strung across beams casting golden halos on flushed faces. 19-year-old Jake Ramirez, wild about Rita. After weeks of texts and 2 dates involving drive-in movies and stolen kisses under pecan trees, his Ghostface costume basic but effective white mask tucked under arm as he charms her friends with tales of high school pranks. Scream quotes delivered with a grin that wins easy laughs. The night a whirlwind of shots and slow dances, Rita's hand warm in his, whispers of maybe later hinting at more, until she slips away to the bathroom, returning pale as her makeup, eyes darting to the door, her ex-boyfriend Troy crashing the party uninvited fresh from oil rig layoffs in the Gulf, his burly frame squeezed into a lumberjack flannel. Buddies in tow like a pack of hounds, jealousy flaring at the sight of Rita, cozy with Jake, words exchanged in heated corners leading to shoves and shouts, the host ejecting them amid pleas to keep it cool. Rita texting Jake, "Hurry out back, he's pissed and coming for you." The message buzzing like a hornet in his pocket as he weaves through the throng. Goodbyes cut short, slipping into the cool embrace of night. Driveway gravel crunching under sneakers. The club's lights receding like dying embers. Highway stretching dark and lonely toward Shallow Water 10 miles off. His Ghostface robe flapping like a cape in the breeze. Phone lighting his face with another alert. Troy and crew kicked out mad as hell, gonna catch you for a beatdown. Adrenaline surging, feet pounding pavement as cars whoosh by oblivious. The robe's hood pulled low against the chill wind, whispering through mesquite bushes lining the shoulder, every headlight a potential threat. Shadows twisting into menacing shapes. Heart hammering a rhythm of regret for ditching friends for this girl, but Rita's smile worth the risk, or so he thinks until a sleek SUV slows alongside, window rolling down with a whir, a woman's voice calling, "Need a lift, handsome. You look like you could use one." Deborah, mid-40s, in a purple sweater that screams PTA meetings. Soccer mom vibes radiating safety, her smile warm under street lamp glow. Jake hesitating, but the roar of an approaching truck spurring him in. Passenger door clicking open like salvation. "Thanks, you're a godsend," he blurts, buckling up as she accelerates, smooth small talk flowing easy about the party and Rita's drama. Deborah chuckling at his tail. Dipping toes in the dating pool, hey, watch out for those exes. Her radio tuned to gospel hymns soft in the background, the highway unspooling like a black ribbon under tires humming steady, Jake relaxing into leather seats scented with vanilla air freshener, until she veers east off the main drag onto a dirt road rutted and remote, dust pluming in taillights. Confusion knitting his brow as he reminds her, "Shallow Water's west." She nods, serene, just a quick stop at a friend's, no trouble since I'm helping, trust lulling him into complacency conversation, drifting to settling down young love's a whirlwind best to anchor it. his polite demurs met with knowing laughs. The road narrowing to a single lane flanked by barren fields, whispering secrets to the wind. Headlights carving tunnels through pitch then, abrupt halt engine ticking. Cool Deborah's hand, dipping to the door pocket, emerging with a snub-nosed revolver glinting cold-aimed square at his chest. Freeze demon, she hisses, voice stripped of warmth. A black cloth sack tossed to his lap. Open it, or I'll paint this seat. Red claims self-defense against a would-be rapist, disbelief crashing over him like icy waves. This a prank, right? Halloween gag from Rita's crew, but her eyes burn fanatic, finger whitening on trigger, bag over head now or die here. Defiance bubbling in questions where why, but silence answers. Sack enveloping his world in suffocating dark, fabric rough against skin. Her commands barked to hands out wrists bound to a metal pole icy as death. The barn's musty hay and rust assaulting nostrils as hood rips off. Deborah's face twisted in zeal. This is God's work purging your kind. Her daughter may be 10, trailing in pigtails and nightgown. Wide eyes fixed on Mama's cue. Jake pleading, I'm no demon, just a guy heading home from a party. But words bounce off Zeal's wall. They kneel in circle, rosaries clicking, prayers rising in fervent chant. Lord, reveal this abomination. Volume swelling to drown his begs, kid's gaze shifting from rote nods to hesitant frowns. Sobbing now, I see no monster, mommy, just a scared boy. Deborah's scrutiny cracking, surprise softening to sorrow. Mistake made, God's tests are tricky. She murmurs, untying him with trembling hands. Gun lowered, but threats lingering swear silence or hellfire awaits. Hood back on for the drop-off on that dark highway stretch. Her parting, God bless, keep mum for heavenly reward. Jake stumbling home, legs jelly, sheriff's report filed, but she said limbo. No witnesses, no proof. Charges unlikely against her word of a drunk attack. Regret gnawing as he weighs, dragging his name through predator mud, choosing silence for peace. But the barn's echo haunts dreams, prayers morphing to pleas. Deborah's face a mosaic of mercy and madness. The ordeal's tendrils spread, Rita's bond with Jake fraying under unspoken trauma, their dates dissolving into awkward pauses. Her pushing for charges he evades with shrugs, Troy's shadow fading, but replaced by phantom guns. Shallow waters whispers turning him into the fool who hitchhiked horror, locals eyeing him askance at gas pumps, assuming embellished party tale. But nights alone replay the binding rope's bite. The daughters saving doubt, a lifeline in Zeal's storm. Investigations stalling as Deborah vanishes. Address bogus, SUV traded. A ghost in her own right. Forums buzzing with similar abductions by faith-fueled vigilantes. Patterns of rural rides ending in rituals. Experts dubbing it holy terror syndrome, where scripture twists to sanction seizure. Jake's silence a shield cracking under therapy's probe. Sessions unearthing childhood fears of abandonment, amplified by the barn's isolation. Support groups for paranormal assault survivors, swapping stories of spectral saviors turned captors. The holiday tainted, parties skipped for solitary vigils. Ghostface robe burned in a backyard blaze, ashes scattering like exorcised doubts. Yet resilience blooms, Jake channeling dread into advocacy. Anonymous blogs warning of predatory piety, urging rideshare apps over road strangers. His tale anonymized in true crime podcasts. Listeners gasping at the twist from flirt to fright. The daughter's face a beacon of innocence piercing fanatic fog. Proof that even in Zeal's grip, empathy endures. A child's truth toppling adult delusion. The case-inspiring legislative pushes for better rural response teams, bridging gaps between badge and belief, ensuring next lost soul finds aid, not altar. Broader ripples touch faith communities, sermons dissecting discernment's dangers, warnings against lone wolf exorcisms, conferences on mental health masking as ministry. Deborah's archetype in headlines from Wichita to Waco, patterns of purple sweater saviors with scripts and sidearms, Jake's what-if whispers fueling gratitude for the unopened bag. The unbound wrists, the highway's mercy drop survival. A scar-worn, proud Halloween reclaimed tentatively with friends in lit homes, costumes, light-hearted sans robes, candy-savored sans suspicion. The story a thread in the weave of human horror, where kindness curdles to captivity, demanding discernment in every dashboard smile. The night's dual dance of delight and dread, a lesson etched in every engine's hum. You, pulse quickening at imagined ropes, ponder your own road encounters. The stranger's wave, once waved off, now waited with warning. This narrative a beacon against blind trust. Urging street smarts sharpened like switchblades, because in Halloween's haze, salvation and snare wear the same friendly face, one wrong turn from feast to famine, light to lockup. If this highway hell has you white-knuckling the wheel of your thoughts, subscribe now, free as a full tank. No dodging this detour to truth's toll booth, or risk riding solo into silence's storm. How many headlights will we share in the hunt for hidden horrors? Could a devout Catholic grandfather, his youthful zeal for fascist glory in 1930s Italy, summon an ancient cult leader whose carved idol unleashes a prison riot of biblical bloodshed on All Hallows' Eve, hearts ripped out in ritual frenzy? What if the man with no name wasn't just a prisoner, but a vessel for something older, carving chaos from stone in solitary shadows? Unearth this true family legend from southern Italy, passed down from Luca's 1928 escape. A Halloween horror where faith and fanaticism forge a forge of flesh and fury, proving the veil thins not just for saints, but sinners too. Transport to the sun-baked hills of Puglia, 1911, birth of Luca Rossi, a boy in threadbare tunic chasing goats through olive groves gnarled as witches' fingers. The air heavy with salt from the Adriatic and the tang of ripening figs. Mussolini's black shirts marching into power when he's 11. Their banners snapping like judgment flags. Luca's poor village swelling with support for the douche's promises of bread and glory, bread scarce as rain in drought. Glory a distant drumbeat echoing from Rome. By 17 he's enlisted in the MVSN, Milizia Volontaria per la Sicurezza Nazionale, paramilitary zealots in feathered hats and leather boots. Luca's frame filling out with rations. His rosary beads clinking against rifle stock. Assigned to a secret prison in the Abruzzo Mountains, stone walls veined with moss like trapped souls, turrets piercing fog that rolls down from Apennines like ghostly cloaks, the facility a warren of cells damp with echo and despair, housing not just political dissidents but the church's unspoken foes, poets with verses sharp as shivs, artists sketching revolution in charcoal smudges, partisans with eyes burning like embers. But deeper in the bowels, cells for heretics, cults deemed threats to Vatican purity, mild flagellants birching backs without papal nod, saint worshippers straying from doctrine's straight path. Luca's early shifts patrolling communal yards where prisoners kick dusty soccer balls, banter and dialects thick as porridge, cigarettes bartered like gold plays staged sans politics. Shakespeare, twisted to safe satire but promotion to high-security wing, thrusts him into solitary's hush corridors, lit by sputtering lanterns casting shadows that dance like imps. The man with no name arriving in chains. One storm-lashed night, October 1928. Thunder cracking like God's whip. Lightning etching his gaunt silhouette. Long black hair matted with rain. Eyes voids, swallowing light. Stick-thin frame clad in rags that whisper against stone, refusing identity even under lash. His crime leadership of a cult that slaughters on Samhain, All Hallows' Eve. Goats and goats proxies in blood rites to elder gods. Whispers among guards of hearts offered steaming to moonless altars. The church demanding his isolation. Solitary cell a tomb of iron bars and straw pallet. Luca drawing the watch. His rosary twirling faster in that presence. Aura nauseating as spoiled milk. Reports of mutilated remains in his wake. Villages emptied post-ritual. Survivors gibbering of shadows with teeth. Weeks grind by. The man staring at walls blank as judgment. Rejecting books and cards. Guards fretting madness. Offering diversions. His request a jagged rock and sandpaper strip. Innocuous as child's toy. Approved by warden wary but willing. Luca delivering the bundle, fingers brushing the man's cold as grave soil. The shaping begins, rasp of stone on paper grating nerves like teeth on bone. Daily checks revealing progress edges smoothed to oblong gleam guards gossiping of phallic idols or shivs. But Luca senses deeper, the air thickening with each pass, general population stirring restless demands for bread, and yard time swelling to chants of free Italy soccer games, erupting in brawls, cards snapped in fury, the unrest sinking to the carving's cadence, prisoners' eyes glazing feverish guards, doubling patrols, batons, bloodied, quelling riots that flare without cause. The warden's olive branch on October 30th. All Hallows Eve, fresh loaves and vino casks promised for compliance, rejected with snarls, demonstrations boiling to full riot by dusk of the 31st chaos, biblical inmates tearing at each other like rabid dogs, throats ripped, bare-handed eyes gouged in frenzy courtyard, a slaughter field slick with gore puddles, reflecting jack-o'-lantern moons. Guards retreating to walls, rifles barking at escapees. Only one breaching felled in floodlit no-man's land dawn, revealing carnage. 47 dead, including self-slayers, air coppery with spilled life cells, holding survivors catatonic or wounded count. Revealing absence, the no-name's cell, not empty but occupied, a prisoner unconnected, sprawled in congealing pool chest cavity. Yawning empty heart excised neat as surgeons cut the carved rock. Now a fetish idol mannequin form, smooth as sin. Hours post-completion, guards scouring vents. And sewers, finding naught. Investigation pinning escape on bribed kin. Interrogations yielding zilch. Official log deeming him riot mulch. Too mangled for ID. Truth hushed as confession. Luca's rosary snapping in grip. Beads scattering like fleeing faithful. The aura's residue clinging. Whispers of the idol's power. Unrest sown by sorcery. Guards bound to silence or transfer denied. Luca plotting flight. Smuggling to France via smuggler's trail. Shipped to New York's teeming moor by December's chill. First Christmas alone amid immigrants' babel. English a babble, but America a bulwark. Old world's horrors barred by ocean's moat. His aversion to pilgrimage rooted in that cell's echo. The carvings rasp haunting dreams where stone men march, hearts in hands. The legacy festers. Luca's Brooklyn life devout yet distant. Holy water nightly ward. Rosary constant companion. Tales shared sparse till grandsons probing. The story spilling like bile. Cults Samhain slaughter mirroring riots right. No name perhaps vessel for pagan pacts predating pious. The prisons packed with church a devil's bargain. Thugs for tithes, heretics for hierarchy. Luca's fascist fire cooled to Catholic coal. America his absolution. But Halloween's eve stirs specters. Jack-o'-lanterns leering like carved idols, parties shunned for solitude, the what-ifs worming. What if the rock unfinished, riot averted, or name uttered, curse invoked? Investigations quashed but rumors root, Abruzzo locals shunning the site, vines claiming ruins, whispers of heartless shades wandering fog, guards' suicides spiking post-riot, nooses echoing the unspoken. The idol's form replicated in nightmares, smooth as polished bone. Luca's deathbed confession sealing the saga. Grandson vowing silence yet spilling here. The veil's thinness on All Hallows a portal for such powers. Faith's fervor forging fiends from fanatics. Proving history's horrors haunt not just halls, but hearths. Demanding vigilance against zeal's carve. Delve the era's underbelly. Mussolini's pact with pious sealing cult hunts, prisons as purgatories for papal pets, the no-names cult perhaps Stregoria splinter, witches' rites raw with Roman roots, Samhain synced to Celtic imports via church calendars, the riot a ritual rebound, idol as invocation, heart's homage to Hecate or older, Luca's escape a Eucharist of exile, New York's spires sanctuary from southern shades, his aversion a armor against ancestral pull, tales tabloid fodder in Italian presses, faded clippings claiming the man re-emerged in 43 riots, carving chaos anew, though myth more than meat. The story's sinew in psychological scar, fascism's fanaticism birthing beasts within, Luca's rosary a rattle against regret, grandson's retelling a rite of release, Halloween's commercialization a cosmetic over cult cuts, pumpkins parodies of power, but nights of November's new moon, carving's rasp returns in wind through wards, hearts pounding primal, the tale a tapestry thread in terror's loom, where devotion devolves to devilry, demanding discernment in doctrine's dance. You, beads clicking in subconscious, feel the stone's smooth seduction, question your own zeal's edge, this chronicle a caution against carving unchecked, the holiday's heart a hollow for horrors historical, one unfinished form from frenzy. If this fascist phantom has you fingering faith's flaws, subscribe free, no evasion from enlightenment's edge, or let shadows sculpt unchecked, how many will chisel truth from terror's block? What if a child's innocent fascination with vampires on Halloween ignited a demonic possession in his immigrant family, his eyes leading to starvation exorcism that withered him to bones, parents praying away the fiend while he faded from fun to famine? Could Dracula's allure curse a classroom darling into cult conviction, turning love to lethal neglect on All Saints' wake? This true tragedy from an English primary school in 2010 unveils the horror of cultural clash and fanatic faith, where costumes conceal catastrophe, proving the scariest spirits are those summoned by superstition. Step into the bustling corridors of Willowbrook Primary in Manchester. September's sun slanting through windows etched with alphabet friezes, air buzzing with pencil shavings and glue sticks. 7-year-old Amir from rural Yemen arriving wide-eyed, his accent thick as hummus traditional thobe, swapped for uniform grey classmates, circling curious as cats. Questions tumbling about camels and sandstorms. But Amir's grin disarming dimples deep as date pits, extra English lessons, unlocking his chatter personality, blooming like desert rose. October's chill heralding Halloween decorations, sprouting paper bats and yarn webs across bulletin boards. Pumpkins finger-painted orange and lopsided, the teacher, Miss Harper, beaming at the shift from fright to frolic, explaining ghosts as giggles not ghouls. Amir's initial shivers easing to squeals, Dracula captivating most, his bat wings and eternal nights enchanting. Amir doodling fangs and margins, hissing at recess to peals of laughter. First advanced words undead, and transformation rolling off tongue. Cape fashioned from bin liner billowing as he stalks shadows. Party on Friday post-lunch, a riot of masks and makeup. Plastic teeth clacking. Amir's cape trailing glory. Insistence on wearing it home met with fond eye roll. Weekend tales to boyfriend over tea, both chuckling at the tyke's bite. Monday's absence a blip, flu they guess headmaster's call yielding bed rest promises. Tuesday same concern, creasing brows by week's end. Third call, probing doctor visits, parents English fractured but firm, no need lost in translation's fog. Social services murmured 2 weeks vanish, welfare check barred at door. Red tape tangling till 3rd week's forced entry. Amir skeletal in sheets, ribs ridged as washboard, skin sallow as parchment. Ambulance wailing to ward. IVs dripping life into veins collapsed. Starvation stark, 3 weeks minimal sustenance, water rationed to bare survival, doctors dashing for diagnosis, revelation a ritual response, parents' tearful testimony to local imam, Dracula's draw the devil's door, fangs and flight signs of jinn possession, holy man's edict starve the spirit, exorcism enacted 3rd week, chants and salts failing, famine forced to flush fiend, belief unyielding as bones brittle, police perplexed by piety's peril, hard-working folk devastated yet devout. Imam consulted post-crisis. His guidance gospel gone grim, Amir's near death a near miss for netherworld nudge, prison pens for parents, sentences suspended on cultural pleas, Amir fostered afar, classroom echo empty. Miss Harper's heart, hollow. Forward to fangs now fracture, the what-ifs wailing. What if culture clash caught sooner? Questions kinder, demons demystified as dress-up, the horror not haunt but haste to holy hammer. Ripples radiate, school policies pivoting to sensitivity seminars, immigrant integration intensified, imams invited to assemblies on myth versus make-believe, Halloween handled with handouts on harmless hijinks, Amir's foster family fostering fangs-free fun, his recovery replete with real bats at zoos, therapy teasing out trauma's tangles, drawings of capes now caped crusaders not cursed, parents' parole parsing piety's pitfalls, support circles for supernatural suspicions, sharing shudders from salt circles to starvation, experts examining exorcism's epidemiology, spikes in sex where folklore flares, Yemen's jinn lore clashing with Yorkshire's yawns, headlines harrowing homegrown horrors, tabloids titling The Vampire Vigil. But beneath buzz beats a boy's bravery, his survival a spark snuffing superstition's spread, community coalescing in care packages to foster home, cards crayoned with crosses, not curses. Miss Harper's memoir, musing on multicultural minefields, lessons learned in loss's light, the tale a tapestry tear intolerance's weave, demanding dialogue over dogma, empathy over edict Halloween's haze, a haven if handled humane costumes, cloaks for commonality not condemnation. Broader brushstrokes brush belief's burdens, global ghosts gripping grips from guises, African albinos accused animism, Asian ancestors angered by altars ignored, the West's whimsy wielding whips on wanderers, policies pleading pluralism, educators edging enlightenment, Amir's arc an anthem for awareness, his adult advocacy authoring awareness campaigns, panels pondering possession's perils, faith forums fostering fusion, the Night of Fangs now foundation for forward, a child's cape catalyzing change, from famine to fellowship, the story's sinew in survival song, where innocence inoculates ignorance, joy jaunting over judgment's jagged jaw. You, cape conjuring in closet, contemplate conviction's cost, this chronicle a clarion against cultural curse, the holiday's heart healed by hearing, one misunderstood mask from malice. If this starvation specter has starved your skepticism, subscribe free, no fasting from fact's feast, or let lore languish in lonely lunacy. How many will cloak community against creed's cruel carve? Imagine breaking into a teacher's garage on mischief night, for petty revenge only to unearth a footlocker of a missing girl's relics, her photo and lock of hair screaming serial secret alerting cops who dismiss it as prank, letting the monster flee to Hong Kong's shadows forever. What if your teen vendetta unearthed not just eggshells, but evidence of murder, guilt gagging you for decades? This true confession from Leeds, UK, 1998, weaves Halloween's mischief into lifelong malediction, where justice slips like shattered glass, proving some doors opened scar souls eternal. Recall the drizzly autumn in Leeds. 14-year-old Tom Hargreaves kicking footballs in parks soggy with dew, shepherd's pie steaming home comforts, schooler Slogsan's best mate Danny, bus rides home banter bomb for bullies Barbs. Danny's mishap with Mr. Carter's tea-scalding shirt to spite, referral room's wooden desk digging into palms, headmaster's expulsion threat quashed to detention's drudging 2 weeks, Saturday's sacrifice to silence, parents pleading philosophy keep head down lad. But brother Paul, 17 and seething, swears reprisal cold as winter's bite, explaining patience's potence, eggs rotting for October 30th, mischief night's mayhem mantle, tradition tracing to cabbage capers centuries past, now eggs and TP terrorizing, date synced to Halloween's Eve across pond. Paul's plan pernicious. Carter's Jaguar E-Type his jewel. Garage grail for grudge. Early October plotting in hushed tones. Silent sabotage schemed. Seats slash or spray scorn insufficient. Marvin's midnight knocks fraying Carter's fuse. Chases comical till fury froths. October 30th dawn buzzing. School whispers of wickedness. Poker faces pasted. Carter's corridor cross-chilling Tom's blood, bus stop blueprints Paul's precision, 7 p.m. rendezvous nerves knotted, Danny's doubt dissolved by devotion's declaration best mate ever, corner from Carter's cul-de-sac, bikes stashed in shrubbery, gloves gripped, Marvin's knock thunderous, taunt toss pot igniting chase, Carter's clunker careening after alley escapes, 15-minute window winked, towel muffled smash into garage gloom, light flickers on empty space, Jag absent, rage roiling, Paul's persistence probing, footlocker footed, bolt cutters biting loud as lightning, lid lifts to letters, and locks, jewelry jingling pockets, photo framed of girl ghost pale, jarred hair haunting, Paul's pallor plummeting, drop like plague, Danny's demand ditched, exit expedited, bikes blazing to breathlessness, Paul's panting proclamation the Ilkley Moor miss of 92. Search sprawling body-baffling hair and baubles belonging. Anonymous $9.99 from phone booth. Address aired. Escape ensued. Reality ramming as report rebuffed as revelry. Carter's scrub swift. Arrest awaited in vain. Assemblies abroad announcement. Hong Kong horizon. Extradition evasion via China's clutch post 97 handover. No treaty tethering. Warning wasted. Our fault father's flight. Shame searing. Paul pickling in pints by 30. Tom and Danny dodging damnation's drag. Regret a rust that never relents. Echoes endure Leeds locals, linking Carter to law whispers of more maidens murdered his classroom charisma, a cloak for carnage investigations iced by international impasse. Hong Kong haunts hypothetical sightings, spurious of stern teacher with schoolgirl shades, Tom's trades tainted by twinge. Danny's distance adrift, Marvin muted by memory. The footlocker's phantom freight. Letters lamenting love lost. Girl's grin frozen in frame. Hair's hue haunting hues. Justice's jest a jinx. Halloween's harmless hijinks harbings of horror. Unearthed mischief's merit. Marred by malice. Missed the tale, a testament to teen temerity's toll, where vendetta vaults to villainy veiled. Demanding decades of what-ifs. What if Jag junked instead or report robust raid revealing relics? Raw Carter cuffed in cuffs girl's ghost garnered peace. But fate's fickle, flight facilitated by folly's fumble, community cloaked in quiet, no plaques for the pilfered, just pub pints pondering the past, Paul's pyre of pity a pyre for all, the story's sting in silence's sustain, guilt's grindstone grinding grains of grace from grudge's grist. Layers lift to legal lacunae, UK's extradition entanglements with China's Colossus post-handover hitches, hobbling hunts, Carter's curriculum vitae, a veil for vanish, perhaps praying anew in oriental obscurity, or perished in paranoia. The Moor's mystery multiplying Mrs. Body's baffling still hair hunts, halted the boy's bond bent, but unbroken annual ales at anniversary, toasting the girl gone. Her name Nancy etched in toast's resilience, rising from rubble of regret. Tom's tale told in therapy's tome, catharsis carved from confession, Halloween handled hushed, no knocks now, just nods to night's nuance, mischief muted to memory's murmur, the holiday's heart healed haltingly, from fracture to fortitude, a father's fault forging friends fiercer, the narrative a notch in noose of neglect, where revenge recoils, revelation rends, but redemption rustles in retelling, urging unburdening before bones bleach. Broader beats beat belief in blowback teen tropes of tit-for-tat tipping to tragedy, tangential schools stricter on spite counselors coaxing confessions. Cool the Moor's mist a metaphor for mysteries mantled. Nancy's narrative nested in northern no folklore. Perhaps Carter's cache concealed closer letters leads lost. The story's soul in survivor's salve. Guilt's gall gnawed to grit. Halloween's haze harboring hope in hindsight. One shattered pain from shattering peace. You, bolt cutters biting in brain, balk at basement boxes. This chronicle a caveat against curiosity's cut. The night's nimbus nurturing nightmares noble in naming. One unopened locker from liberation. If this garage ghoul has gagged your glee, subscribe free, no gag on truth's gasp, or let lockers languish locked in lament. How many will key knowledge from night's notch?